Meow, meow, meow. Everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everyone, Cantonese Cat here. I'm going to be efficient like the Great Mass Speed. I'm going to go for a bunch of charts here. I'm going to go for 9 Bitcoin miners, tell you what I think, and let's go. Let's do it. Why not? This is the monthly chart of CleanSpark. What you're seeing here is you're seeing that the whales, based on the MCDX plus indicator, they're still in. I mean, they're kind of a little bit cool down over here for the month of April and May, but they're still very bright red. Overall, the trend is still up, right? You're going to end up having some cool down here every once in a while, just like we had a cool down here in September to October. But right now, I think we might be experiencing some very, very similar cool down over here. But the whale trend is still up. The whale accumulation from the Black Hat L3 banker fund flow is still up. So there's not really any particular reason to think that the whales have left it quite just yet. If you also look at fintel.io, that also tells you that the whales also haven't really left. I'm going to pull this up here and kind of prove it to you. You see how much whale accumulation has been going on, especially for the month of May, right? So no, they haven't left. If anything, if you're going to look at it's close to 50% of institutional ownership. So very, very nice heated bull trend over here that you can see. Something to think about in terms of where we are in this particular cycles. Right? Some of the other things to think about, I'm going to get rid of these guys over here, is to put some of the other indicators over here, including Ichimoku Cloud. This is a super itchy, but there's very similar Ichimoku clouds right here. It looks like we're getting rejected 4 months in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not going to get rejected for that much longer. I think whenever it breaks out into the cloud, it's going to get pretty powerful. Had a bullish cross over here for the month of February. Right now, it's just been back testing the Tenkan, the conversion line over here, finding back tests, squeeze in this range over here, building up a lot of energy, forming higher highs and higher lows, right? So the next natural move is probably going to end up pushing the cloud. And the top of the cloud, you're really talking about like in the 70s, which is a possible target. We'll talk a little bit about targets here in a little bit, right? But so far, this is still a bull trend. Started forming a little bit of a nice consolidation bull flag here underneath strong resistance and also underneath very strong support. Just ranging for months, building up a lot of energy based on whale accumulation. I think it's probably going to end up going up whenever that happens. Bollinger Band nicely expanded. The lower Bollinger Band went all the way to the negatives. This is a very nice bull trend, and we're just at the start of it. 20-month moving average just started crawling up since November. Very nice expansion of Bollinger Band over here. Not over exhausted because we only have 2 months of candles over here so far. Monthly candles above the upper Bollinger Band. We're not having any crazy parabolic bull trend that has the whole trend exhausted quite just yet. Right? If you look at the weekly chart, if you just simply look at the Ichimoku cloud, like it's way above the Ichimoku cloud, this is a very, very nice bull trend. Right? Even went above the Tenkan and kind of back testing it here a little bit. This is probably the best miner there is in terms of technicals. Look at the bull market support band, very nicely riding up the bull market support band. As the name suggests, is a support band during the bull market, push price up higher during the bull market. Bear market, push price down lower, right? Bull market, push price up higher. And we just had a couple of touches on it. I think we're getting ready for another move up soon. Could it break down a little bit, kind of like it did over here before going up soon? Possibly. But I think we've consolidated enough. I think for the monthly indicators, it most likely, I think the consolidation is good enough for me. I think it's probably ready to go up higher. This whole look right here, you know what it reminds me of? This whole look right here reminds me of NVIDIA before it went up. How it kind of have like a little bit like a head and shoulder, didn't break down, and ended up forming a little bit of a cup and handle over here. That's what CleanSpark is kind of reminding me of right now. A little bit of a head and shoulder. Didn't really break down, kind of forming a little bit of a cup and handle over here. That's kind of what it reminds me of. So we'll see what happens, but I'm pretty bullish when it comes to CleanSpark. Let's look at the 2-week chart over here. I'm going to show you the Gann square, and I'll show you the Fibonacci level in terms of where I think price is going to go. Very nice story, even from the for the bottom of like the previous cycle over here. Although honestly, they didn't really become the miner. Really started around around December 2020. But you can see it basically broke down over here during the bear market from one arc to another, kind of doing these back tests, failing to hold. Went all the way down to this angle over here, bounced from this angle, rejected at this arc over here, broke above, kept on going from one arc to another, right? Right now we're inside this arc over here. We kind of stuck over here inside the arc here for quite some time, for about 3 to 4 months already, right? Is there a possibility for it to back test the bottom of the arc right here before going up this, or is that possibility it goes down to 13 or so? Does it have to? No, I think we've corrected enough. Next thing you know, it breaks about like 21, 22 range, especially the 0.5 Fibonacci level over here. And also this line over here, horizontal line over here around 25.8. We're able to break about these arc Fibonacci level 25.8 and also this 0.618 Fibonacci level here. So you see what I'm saying, like strong resistance here, very much confluent with the monthly Ichimoku cloud, right? We're able to break about this range over here. Man, we're going up in a hurry to like the 70s, right? Just like I showed you the top of the Ichimoku cloud. We were able to break about this range over here all the way from like 22 to 27 or so. Man, top of Ichimoku cloud in the 70s, potentially 90s, potentially 130s, right? If the bull market ends right here, I would be very happy. If it ends up under some of these arc over here, I'd be very happy too. Guess what? What if it breaks about this angle up here and just keeps going up here to the next level? 400, 500, I'm crazy. I don't know whether or not it's going to happen or not. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Strong resistance. If we get rejected, downwards we go, right? If we break above, you're talking about 70, you talk about 90, 100, and potentially 130. We worry about the 400s and 500s later, I think, or 695, 700. We worry about this later, okay? I think we need to break about this current resistance over here before we even talk about next targets up here, which would be very, very nice and for the bull cycle. But I'm just showing you some craziness above. All right, that's CleanSpark. What's next? Mara. I'm going to show you Mara. Same thing, right? Now we got it set up here. You know exactly what I want to talk about. I'm going to go for a lot faster, so we're not wasting time. We have some pretty nice, significant whales coming in. Just like over here, towards the end of that, we start to have a jump in whale over here, right? Just like over here, we've been kind of going flat and sideways over here, but the whales start coming in. Eventually, for November, we have a big jump in whales, right? I think we're getting close. I think we have a very, very nice bull trend over here when it comes to institutions coming in, right? I think we're a very, very nice bull trend over here when it comes to whale inflow. So very, very nice in terms of that. If you're going to pull up some of the other indicators for Mara, again, the Ichimoku cloud, we're now sort of trying to break above the Tenkan line up above, right? The Tenkan line up above, the value for that is around 20.63, right? We're slightly above that, so we're trying to reclaim the monthly Tenkan. Once we're able to break about this range, it could end up hitting the cloud over here around the low 40s, maybe 41, 42, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit lower if it ends up hitting the cloud a little bit later, right? But that's kind of what I'm seeing here. Bullish cross happened back in February, right? All these are very, very nice bullish signs. And if you look at the Bollinger Band, 20-month moving average crawling up. You don't really quite have the full Bollinger Band expansion for CleanSpark, so this is a little bit weaker. You really want to see price kind of push up higher. Maybe once it gets to the 40s, the low 40s, it will probably expand the Bollinger Band line, price to go up higher, but that's also going to be some pretty key resistance over here. I do expect Bollinger Band to continue to expand because 20-month moving average is crawling up, and we just have enough consolidation over here, and something big probably would end up happening. Right now, Bollinger Band is actually contracted a little bit, kind of like how it did over here with the Bollinger Band contracting over here. I think we're very, very similar spot over here. As over here, based on Bollinger Band, based on 20-month moving average crawling up, based on what I just showed you in terms of whale accumulation, all these signatures are saying that we're very, very similar between here and this spot over here, right? So we'll see what happens. Now, if I'm going to switch over here to the weekly, I'm also going to show you back the Ichimoku cloud. You can see that Mara is above the Ichimoku cloud. It's not really even that close, although would it potentially bounce when the Ichimoku cloud go up higher for another few weeks? Possible, but I think it's probably likely this spot over here is very similar to this area over here. I think we probably have corrected enough over here for about 5-6 months, and price most likely are getting ready to go up higher. We'll see what happens. You pull up the bull market support band, you can see that we're starting to reclaim the bull market support band. If anything, it's probably broke above and try to back test it down here a little bit. Hopefully we hold, but it's turning flat. We spent about 2 months trying to get back above the bull market support band. We're able to. The next natural step is probably bounce and go up higher. We'll see what happens. If you go into the 2-week chart over here, I'm going to pull up the GAN that I drew. I'm going to pull up the Fibonacci levels over here that I drew as well. The best guess I have, and these are just the best educated guess I have trying to tell a narrative, what's been happening is from the cycle before, in March of 2020, which is the low point over here, it basically has been breaking arc and arc and arc, and it got rejected over here at the top of this arc over here, right? And once it got rejected, bear market started, break down, bounce from an angle, break down, bounce from a horizontal zone right here, back tested this, arc right here, pass, right? This is the beginning of this bull cycle, back tested this arc over here, passed, right? When it went up, hit the angle right here, got rejected, came back down to this arc, bounced, went up to the next arc, right? Trying to push about this arc over here, so far got rejected a couple of times. Right now, it looks like we're trying again. If it ends up getting through this arc over here, probably going to hit the top of the arc right here. Guess where it's going to be? It's going to be around Fibonacci level around 43, right? You remember what I was telling you about the cloud? It's around 41, 42, right? And also the arc over here, it could be confluence level, where around December of 2024, maybe a little bit sooner, it might end up hitting some of these levels, get rejected, and maybe kind of bounce up a little bit before breaking this area over here. If it's able to break about this area over here, guess where it's going next? It's probably going to some of these higher Fibonacci levels and to the bottom of this arc over here, potentially even the top of the arc. If it's able to break through all these, strong resistance levels over here. Some people are going to end up taking profit, and I know the great Mass B will probably end up taking profit around 40. Could it potentially end up taking profit around 50? Possible, but this is a strong resistance zone that needs to break about. Probably would end up spending quite some time over here before going up to some of the higher targets. That's what I see. Could it potentially go up? Look, it's not going up to 2,000, 3,000 this cycle, right? It's probably not even go up to 600. Probably going to end up, if we end up breaking the resistance around here, probably going to end up going to maybe a couple $100 if it's able to do that. It could also hit the arc up here and get rejected by the arc prematurely and go down. I would not guarantee you any of these targets over here at all. I think it's likely it's going to hit some of these targets over here and potentially even push about and break the arc. Could it hit some of these targets over here? Again, no guarantees, right? But look at what it did last cycle. Assuming that we have the same liquidity conditions, which I'm not sure, we probably are. Looking at the fact that it's a very, very nice bull trend so far. Looks like it wants to go up higher. We'll see. That's Mara. Bitfarms, I'm going to show you the same thing. Monthly chart. Let's look at it. Fibonacci, let's see. Ichimoku cloud, bullish cross, happened March 2024. Right now, price is underneath both the Tenkan and Kijun, but you still have an intact bullish cross. It's trying to break back above the Kijun over here, the red line over here. See whether or not it's able to do that. Probably will, and I'll show you why. Some of the other things over here too, again, the cloud has not really been, that nicely formed quite just yet. If you actually pull up some of the leading span A and, lines over here, if it decides to go up, push against the Kijun and the Tenkan, if it's able to get back above that, next level up here, maybe $5, right? That's going to be an exponential level. I know I've been very consistent when I talk about these things. I think $5 you could end up hitting, right? You end up hitting that, we'll see. If Ichimoku cloud is not really able to tell us any potential price targets over here. Let's look at the Bollinger Band. Got really close to the 20-month moving average. That's pointing up, right? Could have been served as very, very strong support if it ended up needing it. It didn't end up needing it so far. Right now, you do have a little bit of Bollinger Band contraction. This looks just like Mara. It's like I call Bitfarms the exaggerated Mara because it has the same look, but when it goes up higher. When it goes down lower. This is an exaggeration of Mara. So I think that based on looking at the reaction that Bitfarm has bouncing from 1.5, 1.6 zone, I think Mara is probably also going to end up having some pretty decent moves too. Today, Bitfarms moved up, pretty high today. I think around like 9%, 9.5%. I think it might be showing you what Mara could potentially be capable of doing after it breaks its resistance. But that's what it's looking like, right? It looks like it's very, very nicely bounced close to from the zone. Looks like it might be getting up a little bit sooner rather than later. If I look at it weekly, it's going to show you a very, very clear picture. It got really close to a weekly Ichimoku cloud, still above the cloud. Looks like it wants to bounce up, so it really wants to just go up and not even touch the cloud, right? it's a very, very nice balanced look over here. So I think most likely this looks like a range, right, between around like $4 and between like 1.5, 1.6. This looks like a range, and it hit the bottom of the range. It's probably going to go top of the range, and by the time it gets there, we'll see maybe a little bit of resistance before breaking through, potentially to $5, right, over the next few months. Once you break $5, we'll see where it goes from there. But the Ichimoku crowd here on the weekly tells you a very, very nice picture. Right? If you look at the bull market support band, we are trying to reclaim the bull market support band this week. We got inside the band, got underneath a negative sloping 20-week moving average. Probably going to take some time before we break above. I think this nice bull run over here over the last 2 or 3 weeks may be ending soon, maybe a little bit more sideways chop before going up higher. I just don't see it breaking above the bull market support band immediately, especially if the 20-week moving average is still pointing down, although it's starting to point not as down so far. It started decelerated over here, but probably still need a few weeks before pushing through, right? That's kind of what I'm seeing here on the weekly chart. I'm going to go back to the 2-week chart here and pull up the GAN to show you what I'm seeing here with the GAN. What I'm really showing you here is a narrative from not this cycle bottom, but this last cycle bottom, right? Last cycle bottom looks like it's just pushed through in a hurry. Multiple rings and arcs up here got rejected here at this bottom of the arc, right? Came back down, back tested the top of the arc, broke underneath of it, went to the next arc, broke underneath of it, went to the angle, found support, went back up, back test another angle, back test an arc, bounced up to another arc, back test an angle, and bouncing up over here, right? So far, it's been back testing this arc down here brutally, all the way down to 1.5. Could it go down further to this angle over here before going up? That's always a possibility, but I think we probably had a pretty decent bottom over here, is my best guess, right? Again, I'm showing you there's a possibility for it to go 1.5, 1.7. It's possible, right? But this really does look like an expanded flat in terms of Elliott wave. It looks like we have a very strong reaction over here. So far, I do think that most likely you're going to end up touching closer to like $4 or $5 up here is probably where the next destination is going to go. Right? But before it gets there, a lot of resistance, right? We're just showing the bull market support band, right? It's resistance, right? The 0.236, the 2.5 level is a resistance. The previous range highs are resistance, and then you're talking about the arc resistance here around 4.6, 4.7, somewhere around there, which is closer to the bottom of the monthly Ichimoku cloud. Once it's able to break above all these resistance, you still have more resistance up here, $7, $8, right? Angle, and then you're talking about maybe 20s. A lot of resistance to break through. How fast is it going to break through if it ends up breaking through? I don't know. Look over here, broke through arc number 1, 2, 3, hit the 4th arc. All this happened within a few months. Could it end up doing that? 1, 2, in a horizontal line here, hit the arc up here in a matter of a few months? Nah, probably not. I don't know. But I can see potentially hitting some of the arcs up here, testing previous, all-time highs, and also testing this arc that's been going down, right? Reclaiming that arc before going up higher. If it's able to do that, we'll see, right? It all depends on what Bitcoin does. Anyway, that's Bitfarms. I'm going to talk about CIFR. Same thing, monthly. Turn this off, pull up the Ichimoku cloud. What you're going to see here is that you had a bullish cross over here around January 2024. It's a bullish thing. Right now it's trying to push against the Tenkan line here, and it's right now so far that today it's been closing just slightly above it. The Tenkan is 3.95. Right now it's 3.96, right, post-market. So it's kind of slamming right into it, but this is a bullish market structure. It really looks like it wants to break about this 5.5 range over here multiple times. It looks like a big giant cup and a smaller cup. It looks like a very, very bullish structure here. If you look at the Bollinger Band, it's going to tell you a better tale. The 20-month moving average has been rolling up, and it's just been hucking price and serving as support. You have a little bit of Bollinger expansion up here on the upper part. The lower part, a little bit of expansion and contraction, and couldn't decide what to do. But whenever this consolidation is over, I think the mixed move is probably going to be very, very powerful. Right? It's probably going to end up bringing the Bollinger Band down. We'll see. Right? But I like the structure. Like, it looks really nice. If you look at the weekly, if you put the Ichimoku cloud, it's going to tell you something very, very nice too, right? Basically, it's just been reclaiming the cloud over here for the last few months, and it's basically been bouncing on top of the cloud and building up energy before breaking the 5.5 resistance zone up here that's been serving as resistance for almost a whole year. And when it's above the cloud, I get a little bit more bullish. You look at a bull market support band, it's serving as support during a bull market, right? It's right there, serving as very, very nice support, push price up a lot higher. If you want to look at the GAN to try to tell a story in terms of what's been happening from this cycle low, basically it's just been breaking one arc here to another and then doing these kind of back tests. Right now, instead of back testing, arc is trying to ride up this angle up here. And on the way up, riding up the angle, I think we need to break this strong resistance level up here at around 5.5. Right. If you're able to break a 5.5, and it could happen in a couple of months, if you ever break about this confluent zone over here with both an arc and angle and horizontal line over here, you ever break about this zone right here, then you're really talking about hitting some of the targets up here. You know, previous all-time high was around $15, right? If you're able to put through another resistance level here, 15, 18, 21, you're able to break through all that resistance over here, then you're really talking about some of the crazy targets over here, 2.618, $40. You're talking about potentially $54 here and 3.618, which is going to be the bottom of this arc right here. Could all of that be potentially achievable? It depends if we're able to break about this resistance zone right here, which I think we're about to break through. And the next big challenge is going to be a confluence of this whole resistance zone right here in the high teens to low 20s. If you're able to break about that, then you're talking about maybe 50s. But right now, we need to break about this resistance zone right now. Okay, that's CIFR. Whew, how am I doing? Let's talk about the next one. Let's roll. IREN. I'm going to tick off this GAN square. I'm going to go back to the monthly here. Ichimoku Cloud on the monthly, reclaimed Tenkan. This month, very nice green candle, right? Very nicely bullish, engulfing. But the problem is you're hitting a very, very strong resistance level over here. And Decushion is also coming down. It could potentially push price down underneath $8 here for a little longer. Maybe for another month or two before allowing it to go up higher. It may even push it down further back down to the Tenkan to do a back test, which is going to be around $6. Everybody's going to scream. But is a resistance level, right? So you have to be a little bit more cautious when it does that. I don't care. I bought down here. I really don't care. If you look at the Bollinger Band, it looks just like CIFR, right? Nicely curved 20-month moving average serving as support. Bollinger Band is expanding. This is probably the only one out of, all 9 that I'm talking about besides CleanSpark where the monthly Bollinger Band is actually expanding. This is a very, very nice look for IREN. I can't say enough good things about it, although I can see it potentially come back down, back testing like the $6 level potentially before going up higher, and it would still be able to structure, which is amazing. Look at a weekly Ichimoku Cloud, above the cloud, bounced from the cloud. Very, very similar look to CIFR, right? And it's also above these like weekly Tenkan and Kishin lines over here, so they're not really going to be resistance. Bull market support band, bounce from it. Pretty nice bounce from a bull market support band over here, right? All of this looked very nice so far. Going back to the 2-week, pulling up the GAN, what are you going to see from the current cycle bottom to the price right now? Breaking above arc, right? Testing angle, testing arc, bounce from arc to arc. Right now is broke through this arc over here and it's hitting the resistance right here at $8. What is it going to do? Potentially back down some of the angle down here around like $6. Possible before going up higher, right? It would still be a very, very nice ascending triangle. This is a very, very bullish structure. If it breaks above this level over here at $8, which again may take a little bit, maybe take a couple more months, who knows, right? If there's a break above, you're talking about some of the targets up here, $12, $14, $15, right? 0.618, also very important level, $18, right? Confluence or resistance up here, even 22 could actually be a strong resistance level over here, right? Around this horizontal zone, confluent with this Fibonacci level is 0.786. So a lot of resistance above, but if you're talking about breaking above this arc over here, then you're talking about, really 22, and then the next arc up here, which is going to be like, 35, potentially 40. I see the cycle potentially ending here. But before even considering that over here, we need to break about the resistance at $8 and potentially go back test 6. And we need to also break about this zone here in the teens before even talking about like 40. So we'll see what happens. But that's what I think about IREN. Let me show you the whale accumulation stuff. The whale accumulation stuff is very nice for IREN. This is the bi-weekly. I'm going to show you the monthly. Monthly, you got a very nice red candle here, signifying potential whale accumulation. Weekly, you can see like basically pretty much all the retails are like gone. But it's very institutional heavy. But again, very, very strong resistance. Let me go back to CIFR, showing you that whales have kind of cooled down over here on the weekly, but monthly they're still intact. Very, very nice, institutional flow over here for CIFR. Sorry about that. So this is IREN. Again, you start to have pretty nice institutional flow. If you look at fintel.io, you also see a very, very similar picture in terms of institutional accumulation. But weekly has been really, really strong. But we're right at resistance, so be careful. Okay. That's IREN. Let's talk about WULF. Right? WULF, what is it going to do? WULF. You're talking about the institutions. Let's go back to the monthly. It's cool down, right? It's still nice, but it's cool down. Over here, you still have increase in inflow overall if you look at the trend. But this month has been a little bit disappointing in terms of WULF. Things can change in a hurry, though. You actually see a little bit of reduction in retail. So I'll take this, reduction of whales with a grain of salt. It's just a month, right? Overall, it still seems like we have some pretty decent whales that are coming in, and you also still have increase in whale fund flow trend. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, if you look at a weekly, it's also a little bit weakened too. So, just kind of keep an eye on it. You also feel it. You don't really need me to tell you. I'm going to take away the GAN, show you the Ichimoku cloud on the monthly. Reclaiming Tenkan, backtesting the Tenkan, very important step over here. Not quite having a bullish cross here, no big deal. Okay. Looking at the Bollinger Band, very nice, very similar to CIFR, very similar to IREN. 20-month moving average flip from resistance to support, uptrending. Don't quite have the expansion over here, probably just consolidating. A little bit of contraction over here, that's okay. Going to the weekly, showing you the Ichimoku cloud is stuck inside a cloud, hasn't really had a chance to break above, right? Same, you can tell that because the whales have just been a little bit cool. You look at the bull market support band, it's just basically trying to reclaim the bull market support band. Right now, we're kind of underneath of it. We spent significant time above of it. But right now, it's underneath it. It's trying to reclaim it. It's just been oscillating around the bull market support band without a trend. So you're basically on a weekly, a little bit uncertain. Whales are cooling down underneath the band here a little bit. Inside Ichimoku cloud, haven't broken out yet. That's what WULF is telling me. If you look at the GAN square, what is it telling me? It's still stuck in a range inside the arc, right? Maybe using the arc, maybe using the angle over here to kind of push it above the arc potentially, to hit the $3 range here again, $3.2 range again. It was able to get above that resistance, which is going to be a strong resistance over here, right? It was able to get about that resistance finally. Again, you probably spent over here for like, half a year already around this range. Break about 3.2, you're talking about 5. Break about 5 to 6, you're talking about like 8. Break about 8, you're talking about like 12, 13 or so. I'm not going to eye like the previous high over here. I don't think it's a reasonable target necessarily for this cycle. But you have a lot of resistance above. If you're able to break through all these resistance, I can see it potentially hitting some of the targets up here, closer to maybe like 18 or 20. I can potentially see that. Could it hit all the way up here in the 30s? Maybe. I wouldn't necessarily count on it. We'll see how it goes. I do have a small position. If it ends up hitting like 30, 32, 34, I'd be very happy. I wouldn't necessarily count on it. We'll see what happens during this bull market cycle, though. So far, it's kind of stuck in the range. And so far, the whales are cooling off for terawulf, unfortunately. Let's look at RIOT. What is RIOT doing? Going back to the monthly, turning off of the GAN, turning off of Fibonacci levels, pulling up the whale data. I don't think it should surprise you. Whales are cooling down for the last couple months. Even though inflow is still, slightly trending up a little bit overall, if you look at the trend oscillator, whale seems to be cooling down. Retails are cooling down this month too, though. But we don't really quite have the favorable look when it comes to RIOT, unfortunately, when it comes to whales. Ichimoku cloud, underneath the cloud, had a bullish cross, had a bearish cross, ran across underneath the Tenkan Kijun, trying to break above. You're going to have a lot of resistance up here in the low teens, around like 12 to 13. You're going to have some resistance up here, right? If you're looking at the Bollinger Band, is trying to reclaim the 20. 20 is starting to flatten here a little bit, and it might be a little bit of resistance, right? Because right now is at 10.4, which is the 20-month moving average. And post-market is a little bit above that, but we end up closing underneath of that so far, right? We'll see if we can reclaim the 20-month moving average. Hopefully, continue to have it kind of point up over time. And if that happens, then you're talking about, potentially going up higher. Right now, it's stuck in a range. It's very, very clear. It's stuck in a range. If you look at it weekly, pull up the Ichimoku cloud. Underneath the cloud, stuck right there, right? You put up the boomerang support band. Underneath the boomerang support band, this is one of the weaker ones. You're underneath resistance around 12 to 13. That's what I meant by that. And that's what RIOT is doing. Looking at the GAN, what's the GAN doing? Let's look at the 2-week chart, give you a little bit more of a zooming out and have more candles to look at. Very clear, right? Price broke above arc, broke above arc, broke above arc, right? Hit this arc up here, broke down, back test, broke down, back test, broke down, angle, bounced, right? Bounced from one curve over here. So far, we're trying to break about this curve over here, this arc over here. Got rejected, back test the angle. We're building up energy potentially to get up higher, break about the 12, 13, 14 range up here. If you're able to break about this arc, then you're talking about 20s, mid-20s. Break about that, you're talking about 45. Break about that, you're talking about 150. 120, 150, somewhere up there, right? Is it going to do that? I don't know. It's underneath a lot of resistance. Could it break down further? Possible. It breaks down this angle. It could go back down to like $4, right? But that's what it's doing, is one of the weaker ones. I do see if Bitcoin does well, I do see it minimally, get to like 43 if Bitcoin does well. If Bitcoin does really well, we'll talk about that. But that's RIOT. And then I'll do one to go for two more. One is BTBT. BTBT, monthly chart. Get rid of the GAN, get rid of Fibonacci level. Pull up the whale indicators. Actually, doesn't look bad, does it? This candle over here, nice whale, nice institutional prevalence, nice whale inflow, very, very nice, right? Although it's not very strong, and I'll pull up why as to that. This actually looks a little bit like RIOT, but it looks a little bit stronger than RIOT. In terms of Ichimoku cloud, you don't quite have the bearish cross. You still have a bullish cross over here in February, right? Not like a bearish cross like you did for RIOT, but you're still underneath the Tenkan and Kijun, unfortunately. So those are going to serve as resistance right around here at 3.5. 3 to 3.5 is going to be, pretty strong resistance right above. That's going to try to break above. Bollinger Band broke back above. Right now, broke back above the 20-month moving average. Right now, the 20-month average is 2.34. We're way above that. See if we can reclaim it. Bollinger Band is contracting though. So actually, this is not a bad sign. It basically tells you the big move might be coming soon. But yeah, it's not quite expanding. It's a little bit trendless, although the 20-month average is pointing up. So we'll see. A big move could be coming soon. It could end up breaking above the resistance right above. We'll see. Weekly, where you see Ichimoku cloud, right underneath the Ichimoku cloud, right? Which is why you're having a hard time kind of breaking out above. Right. You can see what I mean by having resistance right here around like 2.5, 3, and 3.5 area over here. Resistance above, right? Bull market support band, trying to reclaim it. You see bounce above, trying to use that as support. The band is starting to flatten. We'll see whether or not we use this opportunity to bounce up higher from here. So that's BTBT. I do want to go for one last one, and I'm probably going to end calling it a night in terms of making videos. Monthly. Pull out the whale indicators here for HUD. You did have a little bit of an institutional signal over here. Not very strong, but it's there. You do have a little bit of whale inflow over here. Not very strong, but it's there, right? I think this is going to be a laggard. The part is not so much with the whales. The whales coming in great. I like that, but it is still going to have a lot of resistance above. It hasn't even challenged the Tenkan. No cross, no bullish cross, right? Hasn't even challenged the Tenkan. Way underneath the Tenkan, actually, right? Got rejected in Tenkan back here around January and December, and hasn't even back tested it quite just yet, right? Major laggard. Look at the Bollinger Band. is flat in terms of 20-month moving average. Got rejected over here so far, right? Nothing's happening with HUT. Could be a major laggard. Look at it weekly. Ichimoku cloud, right way underneath of it, getting rejected by the Tenkan here. Far away from the cloud. The cloud's like 13. Right? Getting rejected at the Tenkan right here, like in underneath $10. Will rank support band. Interesting. Trying to reclaim that a little bit there, isn't it? We'll see whether or not it holds. But the monthly indicators, I think, is what hurts when it comes to HUT. Like when it comes to HUT, these monthly indicators here are really, really hurting it. And the fact is underneath a flat 20-month moving average is still hurting it. It could be a major laggard, but when it runs, it runs. When is it going to run? I don't know. Money might end up rotating into it later on in the cycle before going up higher. But so far, maybe a little bit of whales coming in, but not too strong. If I have to rank them all, the top is going to be, and I think the best way to really illustrate it is use the monthly Bollinger Band. The top is going to be CleanSpark, number 1. Number 2, Mara. Number 3, I'm going to have to give it to IREN. This month really did a lot of very, very nice things here and up causing Bollinger Band expansion. Number 3 is IREN. Number 4, CIFR. Still a very, very nice look over here. Still trying to knock about this resistance over here. I'm going to give CIFR number 4. Number 5, I'm going to have to give it to Bitfarms. Bitfarms number 5 is still above the 20-month moving average. It looks like a very nice bounce around the area. Right. So Bitfarms my number 5. Number 6 is going to be WULF. Very, very similar morphology, but it's just over the last month or two, it's just kind of lost momentum here a little bit. Number 7, BTBT, reclaiming the 20-month moving average. Number 8, it's going to be RIOT. It's trying to reclaim the 20-month moving average and it's still pointing up a little bit. Right. Number 9, HUT 8, underneath the 20-month moving average. And I kind of just share with you all the targets for all of these stocks over here. So thank you so much for listening. Have a good one. Bye.